So, today we are going to start with chapter 2. There's no such thing as self sabotage. When you habituate yourself to do things that move your life forward, you call them skills. When they hold your life back, you call them self sabotage. They are both essentially the same function. Sometimes it happens by accident, sometimes we just get used to living a certain way and fail to have a vision for how life could be different. Sometimes we make choices because we don't know how to make better ones or that anything else is even possible. Sometimes we settle for what we are handed because we don't know we can ask for more. Sometimes we run our lives on autopilot for long enough that we begin to think we no longer have a choice. However, most of the time it's not accidental at all. The habit and behaviors you can't stop engaging in, no matter how destructive or limiting they may be, are intelligently designed by your subconscious to meet an unfulfilled need, displaced emotion, or neglected desire. Overcoming self sabotage is not about trying to figure out how to override your impulses. It is first determining why those impulses exist in the first place. Self sabotage is often misunderstood to be a way in which we punish, deride, or intentionally hurt ourselves. On the surface, this seems true enough. Self sabotage is committing to a healthier diet and finding yourself pulling up to the thrive through a few hours later. It's identifying a market gap, conceiving an unprecedentedly brilliant business idea, then getting distracted and forgetting to begin working on it. It's the having strange and terrifying thoughts and allowing them to paralyze you in the face of important life change or milestones. It is knowing you have so much to be grateful for and excited about and yet burying anything. We often misattribute these behaviors to a lack of intelligence, willpower, or capacity. That is usually not the case. Self sabotage is not a way we hurt ourselves, it's a way we try to protect ourselves. What is self sabotage? Self sabotage is when you have two conflicting desires, one is conscience or one is unconsciousness. You know how you want to move your life forward, and yet you are still not for some reason stuck. When you have big ongoing insumerable issues in your life, especially when the solution seems so simple, so easy, and yet so impossible to stick with. What you have are not big problem but big attachments. People are pretty incredible in the fact that they basically do whatever they wanted to do. This is true of everything in human life. Regardless of the potential consequences, human nature has revealed itself to be incredibly self serving. People have an almost superhuman way of doing whatever they feel compelled to do, regardless of whom it could hurt, what was it could spawn, or what futures would be put at risk. When you consider this, you begin to realize that if you are keeping something in your life, there has to be a reason you want it there. The only question is why. Some people can't figure out why they can't seem to motivate themselves enough to create a new business to facilitate their goals of becoming significantly wealthier, perhaps not realizing that they have a subconscious belief that to be rich is to be egocentric or disliked. Or perhaps they actually don't want to be super wealthy. Maybe it's a cover up for wanting to feel secure and taken care of, or their real desire is to be recognized for their art. As as this feels too unlikely to ever happen, they fell back on a secondary dream that doesn't actually motivate them. Some people say that they want to be successful at any cost and yet don't want to long log the hours of work it would take to get there. Perhaps it is because they understand at some level that being unsuccessful or successful doesn't really make you happy or liked. In fact, the opposite tends to be true. Success usually exposes you to jealousy and scrutiny. Successful people are not loved in the way that we imagine they would be. They are usually picked apart because envious people need to humanize them in some way. Perhaps instead of being successful, what many really want is just to be loved. And yet, their ambition for success directly treatments and threatens that. Some people can't figure out why they keep choosing the wrong relationship. People whose patterns of rejections, abuse, or refusal to commit seem to be consistent. Perhaps they don't realize that they are actually recreating the relationship dynamics they experienced when they were young because they associate love with loss or abandonment. Perhaps they want to recreate family relationship in which they felt helpless, but to live them again as an adult where they can help the addict, the liar, or the broken persons. When it comes to self-sabotage behavior, you have to understand that sometimes it's easy to get attached to having problems. Being successful can make you less liked. Finding love can make you more vulnerable. Making yourself less attractive can guard you. Playing small allows you to avoid scrutiny. Procrastinating puts you back in the place of comfort. All the ways in which you are self sabotaging are actually ways that you are feeding a need you probably do not even realize you have. Overcoming it is not only a matter of learning to understand yourself better, but realizing that your problems are not problems, they are symptoms. You cannot get rid of the coping mechanism and think you have solved the problem. What does self sabotage look like? It's impossible to say decisively what self sabotage does or doesn't look like because certain habits and behaviors that can be healthy for one person can be unhealthy in another context. With that said, there are definitely some specific behaviors and patterns that are typically indicative of self sabotage, and they usually relate to being aware that there is a problem in your life, yet feeling the same or need to perpetuate it regardless. Here are some of the main signs that you are probably in a cycle of self sabotage. First, resistance. Resistance is what happens when we have a new project that we need to work on and simply can't bring ourselves to do it. It's when we get into a great new relationship and then keep wailing on plans. It's when we get an amazing idea for our business and then feel tension and anger when it comes time to sit down and actually get to work. We often feel resistance in the face of what's going right in our life, not what's going wrong. When we have a problem to solve, resistance is usually nowhere to be found. But when we have something to enjoy, create, or build, we are trapping into a part of ourselves that is trying to thrive instead of just survive, and the unfamiliarity can be daunting. How to resolve this? Resistance in your way of slowing down and making sure that it's safe to get attached to something new and important. In other cases, it can be a warning sign that something is not quite right and you might need to step back and regroup. Resistance is not the same thing as procrastination or indifferences and shouldn't be treated as such. When we are experiencing resistance, there is always a reason and we have to pay attention. If we try to force ourselves to perform in the face of resistance, it usually intensifies the feeling we are struggling and strengthening the internal conflict and triggering the fear that's holding us back in the first place. Instead, releasing resistance requires us to refocus. We have to get clear on what we want as well as when and why we want it. We have to identify unconscious beliefs that are preventing us from showing up, and then we have to step back into the work when we feel inspired. Wanting is the entryway to showing up after resistance, hitting your upper limit. As discussed before, there is only a certain amount of happiness that most of us will allow ourselves to feel. Gay Hendrick calls this your upper limit. Your upper limit is essentially the amount of good that you are comfortable having in your life. It is your tolerance and threshold for having positive feelings of or experiencing positive events. When you begin to surpass your upper limit, you start to unconsciously sabotage what's happening in order to bring yourself back to what's comfortable and familiar. For some people, this manifests physically, often in aches, pains, headaches, or physical tension. For others, it manifests emotionally as resistance, anger, guilt, or fear. It might seem totally counterintuitive, but we are not really wired to be happy. We are wired to be comfortable, and anything that is outside of that realm of comfort, feeling threatening or scary until we are familiar with it. How to resolve this? Hitting your upper limit is a really great sign. It means that you are approaching and surpassing new levels of your life, and that is first and foremost something to congratulate yourself for. The way you resolve an upper limit problem is by slowing acclimating yourself to your new normal. Instead of shocking yourself into big changes, allow yourself to slowly adjust and adapt. By taking it slow, you are allowing yourself to gradually reinstate a new comfort zone around what you want your life to be. Over time, you gradually shift your baseline to a new standard. Uprooting happens when someone finds themselves jumping from relationship to relationship or changing their business website again and again when they really need to focus on confronting relationship issues when they arise or taking care of clients they already have. In uprooting, you are not allowing yourself to blue zoom. You are only comfortable with the process of sprouting. It might be constantly needing a fresh start, which is often the result of not having healthy ways to deal with stress or struggling with conflict resolution. Uprooting can be a way of diverting attention from the actual problem in your life, as your attention must go toward reestablishing yourself or oneself at new job or in a new town. Ultimately, uprooting means you are always just beginning your new chapter but never really finishing it. Despite your efforts to keep moving on, you end up more stuck than ever before. How to resolve this? First, recognize the pattern. One of the primary symptoms of uprooting is not realizing that one is doing it. Therefore, the most important step is to become aware of what's happening. Trace back your steps over the past few years. How many places have you moved or worked? Then figure out what is driving you away from each new thing you find. Next, you need to get clear on what you really want. Sometimes uprooting occurs because we step too quickly toward what we think we want, only to find that we didn't think it through and don't really want that thing very much. Clarity is key because you are thinking long term now. What would it look like to choose one place to live? Then build connections there. What would it look like to work at the same place and move up in your position or build your business? Remember that healing from an uprooting pattern is not about settling for something you don't want, nor it is about staying in an unsafe or unhealthy situation because you don't want to move again. It's about getting clear and determined on what's the right path for you and then making a plan for how you can thrive, not just survive. When the moment comes that you would typically flee, confront the discomfort and stay where you are. Figure out why you are uncomfortable, getting attached to one thing or another, and determine what a healthy attachment would look like for you. For now, we are going to stop here and we will continue this chapter in the next video. Thank you.